Pasco County, Pinellas County, all under severe thunderstorm warnings. And around the Pasco and Pinellas counties, these storms here, high winds, very heavy rains, and up to the north in Gilchrist County, storms there producing some large hail. Looking at the rainfall, it'll be abundant in the southeast again. Localized flooding problems will abound here. And then as we head to the north, the rain changes over to freezing rain, sleet, and then snow. And it's already over in Cincinnati. Snow has ended there, so it's a quick hitter, just enough to make for some slick travel this morning. So as we check out the current scene here we see the storms coming into Florida. Here we see the rain changing to snow behind the front, freezing rain giving way to the snow. And then you can see tomorrow we'll have the problems in New England. Looks like Hartford, Providence, Boston, Worcester, Concord.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel.
Looking at temperatures dropping across New England as the cold front moves to your east, and rain changing over to snow. It looks like we could see several inches of snow before the precipitation tapers off tomorrow. Down to the south, much cooler air rushing in, but I'm sure not too many people will be too upset because at least the sun will be making a long-awaited return. Down to the south in Texas and in Oklahoma and Kansas, the cool air will be moving out as the high pressure heads its way eastward. So it looks like a nice warm-up just in time for the weekend. In the west, though, we are looking at some stormy weather as the flow comes roaring in from the Pacific. The old El Nino is back, and there you can see the wind and the rain and the high elevation snow. More heavy rains coming to saturated soils in the west, and that means trouble. There's the rain changing to snow in the northeast, and after that, big high pressure means dry weather right into the weekend. While in the west, it looks terrible, the rain, the wind, and the high mountain snows.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Okay, as we head down to the southeastern United States, this is one of our trouble spots of the day. Flood watches out for western North Carolina and southeast Kentucky here. Very heavy rains moving in on saturated soils, and that means troubles. Rainy weather expected up to the east coast today, and in Maine and New Hampshire we do have some flood watches out. Rains returning to the west coast. Down the southeast, here's the threat for severe weather. Most of the central and northern Florida peninsula under a tornado watch for the morning hours. Rain changing to freezing rain and then to snow across western New York, western PA, and across eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. And then the snow tapers right off. Gusty winds ushering in the colder air into the south after a windy, warm start to the day. And in the west, next storm comes in. More high winds, more heavy rains. And in the northeast, look at this, a little foggy this morning, out ahead of all the nasty weather.
Tony Gregory, Cincinnati, Ohio, 83,000 miles. Sandy Carlton, Acworth, Georgia, 98,000 miles. Jim Bobbitt, Broomall, Pennsylvania, 110,000 miles. We can't promise you the very same mileage these Michelin owners got. But we can promise you this, the very same peace of mind. Michelin.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. your regional information. The regional forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
You're watching the Weather Channel.
To you for the next 40 minutes or so, keeping you weather briefed, weather informed of what's going on. We wake up again this morning to more storms over parts of the southeast. You know, yesterday in the lower Mississippi Valley, we had several reports of hail and wind damage, even several sightings of tornadoes over Mississippi and Louisiana. Scenes out of Mississippi from yesterday, I'll tell you what, it was quite violent across the southern parts of the Magnolia State, as we had reports of tornadoes, very gusty winds associated with these. Of course, the wind damage, a lot of structural damage to some of the homes in southern Mississippi yesterday. Just an indication of how serious the storms can be, and certainly today we're dealing with pretty much the same, with a good chance of strong to severe storms along the southern Atlantic coast. Let's show you where we have the severe outlook today. From Norfolk, Virginia, right through Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina, the threat of strong to severe storms, Charleston, South Carolina, even down to southeast Georgia and most of Florida. Case in point, the National Severe Storms Forecast Center has issued a tornado watch for the central parts of Florida, effective until 1 o'clock local time. As we wake up this morning, thunderstorms moving across the lower Mississippi Valley. You can see across the southeast here, through western Georgia, the line of thunderstorms. Some of these have the potential to produce tornadoes now as it continues to cross over the central and northern parts of Florida. So a very violent line of storms, still very potent here across northern Florida. So we'll continue to watch it for you. Then we pick up rains over northern Georgia, east Tennessee, right through the eastern parts of Kentucky. Now it's starting to change over and mix in with some colder air here in western Pennsylvania around Pittsburgh. So we talk about perhaps some freezing rain in this area so far this morning. Let's show you what it looks like as we turn to the temperatures now. You can see in Pittsburgh it's 34 degrees, so we're just above freezing, but temperatures are expected to drop even more so the next several hours. And overnight tonight, we're talking about temperatures only in the teens in western Pennsylvania and New York. So drastically cooler air filtering behind the frontal boundary and a line of storms that will be moving to the eastern seaboard. So thunderstorms later today, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and even around the nation's capital. We wake up to 55 degrees this hour in D.C., 67 in Charleston, South Carolina, 59 right now in Atlanta, Georgia, and notice the 70s over Florida. But then you pick up the cooler air from western New York and Pennsylvania right on back into central Mississippi, Jackson, 36 degrees this hour. So there is no threat of severe weather in the Magnolia State today, as the cooler air has already started to usher in. That means the north winds. And when you get cold air, you don't have a threat of storm. So that's what we're pushing into Mississippi and Alabama right now. 28 degrees right now in Little Rock, Arkansas. Much colder over the northern plains as this cold Canadian high-pressure system nuzzles down to the south.
All right, what can I get you? Let me get a double espresso latte, half decaf, medium foam, and just named Dutch talk.
On the coast of New England, from Boston to New York, even Philadelphia, our nation's capital, scattered showers and thunderstorms will be moving in by the afternoon. We'll have the cooler air behind it, so precipitation changing over to freezing rain already this morning in Pittsburgh. Eventually the snow will move in as we have some drastically colder air immediately behind the system as it continues to slide out to the east. Now ahead of it we have the southerly wind flow. 50s all the way to Portland, Maine today. Even you, Boston, will be in the 60s. I know yesterday you had a northeast wind and a little cooler from the ocean with an afternoon high of only 42. But today anticipate the southerly winds, 60s for the afternoon high, and again the clouds and the thunder showers will be moving in later on. You can see the drastically cooler air in western New York and Pennsylvania. More rain for the southern Atlantic coast. But notice, back across the lower Mississippi Valley, we're drying out, and sunshine returns immediately. Dallas, Little Rock, and even around Baton Rouge, Louisiana, even Jackson, Mississippi, I think we'll find more sun today, but the cooler air will be building in. Highs only in the 40s, northern and central Mississippi. And you can see right along the southern Atlantic coast, you'll find temperatures in the 70s up to near Norfolk, Virginia. We have sunshine around Bismarck, North Dakota, Rapid City, South Dakota. High pressure situated right about here. The clockwise winds around the high pressure system may provide some more additional light snow across the northern parts of Illinois. I know Chicago, with this system moving through, you were on the northern fringes and you had the cooler air, and a couple of inches of snow fell in the Chicago area yesterday. But today in Chi-Town, maybe a few flurries will linger around Chicago, but no additional accumulating snow expected across the northeastern parts of Illinois.